Look at me for a second. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, right now. Because there is a moment coming in your life when you will either become the person you keep talking about, or you will become the person who had 1,000 reasons and 0 results. And the scary part, that moment is not coming someday. It is already here. A few years from now, nobody is going to ask how tired you were. Nobody is going to ask whether your alarm felt too early, whether the weather was bad, whether your boss was difficult, whether your friends supported you, whether the economy was unfair, whether you were stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, or waiting for the perfect time. History is brutally simple. It only asks one question: did you do the work? That is the question waiting for you tonight when your head hits the pillow. Because deep down, you already know something most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. You do not need another motivational video. You need a decision so real that your excuses can no longer survive in the same room with it. Think about the dream you keep replaying in your mind: the business, the degree, the comeback, the book, the promotion, the life you secretly believe you were meant to live. Now let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. If your future depended on what you did in the next 24 hours, would you trust yourself? Would you trust your habits? Would you trust your discipline? Would you trust the promises you keep making to yourself? Because the truth is, most people are not losing to lack of talent. They are losing to negotiation. They negotiate with the alarm. They negotiate with the workout. They negotiate with the hard conversation. They negotiate with the deadline. They negotiate with the dream until the dream quietly leaves the room. Every excuse is a vote for the life you do not want. Let that hit you. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," you cast a vote. Every time you say, "I'm too busy," you cast a vote. Every time you say, "I'll do it when I feel ready," you cast a vote. And eventually those votes become your reality. So tonight, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to remind you of something you already know. Your future is not waiting for your excuses to make sense. It is waiting for your actions to begin. And if you are ready, then stop scrolling mentally through all the reasons why this is hard and start listening for the reason why it must be done. Because by the end of this speech, you will have a choice. Keep protecting your excuses, or finally protect your potential. The problem nobody wants to admit. Let's talk about the painful reality. Most people are not stuck because they lack information. You already know how to get healthier, move your body, and stop feeding it garbage. You already know how to improve your finances, spend less than you earn, and increase your value. You already know how to strengthen relationships. Be honest, present, and consistent. You already know how to make progress. Do the hard thing repeatedly. So why do so many people stay in the same place year after year? Because information is easy. Identity is hard. People say they want change, but they protect the habits that keep them the same. They want confidence, but avoid discomfort. They want success, but avoid responsibility. They want results, but avoid repetition. And then they call it bad luck. Listen carefully. Your excuses are not protecting you from failure. They are protecting you from the possibility of finding out how powerful you could become. That is why excuses feel so convincing. They sound reasonable. I'm exhausted. I've had a rough week. I'll start when things calm down. I need more motivation, but life rarely calms down. Motivation rarely arrives on schedule. And the people who change their lives are not the people who feel ready first. They are the people who move before they feel ready. Discipline is remembering what you want most when you feel like doing what matters least. The cost of excuses here is what nobody tells you about excuses. The cost is not immediate. That is what makes them dangerous. Skipping one workout does not ruin your body. Missing one day of studying does not destroy your future. Delaying one difficult conversation does not end a relationship. But excuses compound. One becomes 10. 10 becomes a year. A year becomes a life you barely recognize. And one day you wake up and realize the dream did not disappear all at once. It disappeared one justified delay at a time. I want you to picture yourself 5 years from now. There are two versions of you standing side by side. One version kept waiting for ideal circumstances. That version has a library full of reasons. The other version started before confidence arrived. That version has scars, lessons, discipline, and results. Which version are you feeding tonight? The moment everything changes right now. Some of you are thinking, but you don't understand my situation. You're right. I don't know every detail of your life. I don't know the bills, the heartbreak, the setbacks, the responsibilities, the exhaustion, or the battles you fight when nobody is watching. But I know this. Your circumstances may explain your struggle, but they do not get to define your future. There are people who started with less than you, less money, less support, less confidence, less opportunity, and they still found a way. The moment you stop arguing for your limitations, your possibilities get louder. The moment you stop arguing for your limitations, your possibilities get louder. Let me tell you something that most people never realize. The greatest thief in your life is not failure. It is not rejection. It is not bad luck. It is not your competitors. It is not your critics. The greatest thief in your life is something much quieter, something far more dangerous, something that slowly steals years without making a sound. That thief is unrealized potential. Not because you lacked ability, not because you lacked intelligence, not because you lacked opportunity, but because every day you delayed becoming who you could be. And eventually, delay became your lifestyle. Think about that. The cemetery is filled with dreams that never got a chance to breathe, books never written, businesses never started, songs never recorded, ideas never shared, lives never fully lived. Not because people couldn't do it, because they kept waiting, waiting for confidence, waiting for permission, waiting for certainty, waiting for a sign. Some people die at 80, others die at 25 and spend 55 years explaining it. That hits hard because somewhere deep inside, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know the thing you've been postponing. You know the phone call, the application, the launch, commitment, the challenge, the dream, And the longer you avoid it, the heavier it becomes. The hidden truth most people ignore here is the truth almost nobody talks about. Most excuses are not practical. They're emotional. Read that again. Most excuses are not practical. They're emotional. People say, I don't have enough time, but somehow they find 3 hours for distractions. People say, I don't know where to start, but they spend months researching instead of taking one step. People say, I'm afraid I'll fail. And there it is, the real reason. Not lack of knowledge, not lack of resources, fear. Fear wearing the costume of logic, fear wearing the mask of preparation, fear pretending to be responsibility, fear pretending to be timing, fear pretending to be realism. And because the excuse sounds reasonable, you never challenge it, you welcome it, you feed it, you protect it. Until one day it becomes your identity. Viral line, most limits are not walls. They're stories. Stories you've repeated so many times that they feel like facts. I'm not disciplined. I'm not a leader. I'm not ready. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm not talented enough. I'm behind. But what if those aren't facts? What if they're simply narratives you've rehearsed? What if the person you're trying to become is trapped behind a story you're afraid to stop telling? The story, let me tell you about a young man, not a celebrity, not a millionaire, not a prodigy, just an ordinary person. Every night he would lie in bed and imagine a different future, a better future. A future where he was healthier, more confident, more successful, more fulfilled. He could see it clearly. He wanted it desperately. And every morning he would wake up and do the same things he'd always done. The dream grew. The actions didn't. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Months became years. And something strange started happening. He became exhausted, not from hard work, from avoidance. Because avoidance is heavy. Carrying an unfinished life is heavy. Ignoring your potential is heavy. Pretending you're okay with mediocrity is heavy. Then one morning something happened. Nothing dramatic. No movie soundtrack. No life-changing seminar. No miracle. Just a moment of brutal honesty. He looked in the mirror, and for the first time, he stopped blaming circumstances, stopped blaming timing, stopped blaming bad luck, stopped blaming everyone else, and asked himself one question, a question powerful enough to change everything. What if the problem is me? Not in a self-destructive way, not in a hopeless way, in an empowering way, because if he was the problem, he could become the solution. And that day changed his life, not because everything became easy, because excuses lost their power. The workout still hurt. He did it. The fear still existed. He moved anyway. The uncertainty remained. He acted anyway. The discomfort stayed. He kept going anyway. And slowly something incredible happened. The person he'd been waiting to become started appearing. not all at once. One decision at a time, one early morning at a time, one difficult conversation at a time, one uncomfortable action at a time, because transformation is rarely explosive. It's usually invisible, until one day everyone notices. The lie about motivation. Let's destroy one of the biggest lies on the internet. The lie that successful people are constantly motivated. They're not. The athlete doesn't feel motivated every morning. The entrepreneur doesn't feel motivated every day. The writer doesn't feel motivated every time they sit down. The champion doesn't wake up inspired 365 days a year. They simply stop making feelings the boss. Most people ask you, how do I feel today? Winners ask, what needs to be done today? That tiny difference changes everything because feelings fluctuate. Mission doesn't. If your actions depend on your mood, your future belongs to chance. Read that again. If your actions depend on your mood, your future belongs to chance. And chance is a terrible life strategy. The identity shift, this is where everything changes. Not when you learn a new tactic. Not when you buy a course. Not when you watch another video. Not when you read another book. Everything changes when you stop asking, what do I need to do? And start asking, who do I need to become? Because successful people don't just have different habits. They have different identities. A disciplined person doesn't negotiate with commitments. A leader doesn't wait for permission. A champion doesn't seek comfort. A creator doesn't wait for inspiration. They act according to who they are, not according to how they feel. And that is why no excuses is not a productivity strategy. It is an identity. When no excuses becomes your identity, you stop looking for reasons. You start finding solutions. You stop waiting. You start moving. You stop explaining. You start executing. Excuses ask, why can't I? Discipline asks, how will I? One question creates victims. The other creates builders. One creates spectators. The other creates champions. The turning point right now, there are two voices inside your head. The first voice says, it's too hard. You've already failed before. What if it doesn't work? What if people judge you? What if you're not enough? The second voice is quieter, much quieter, but it's there. It's the voice that knows you're capable of more. The voice that gets uncomfortable when you settle. The voice that refuses to accept average as your destiny. The voice that has been waiting years for you to listen. That voice brought you here. That voice is reading these words. That voice is still fighting. And here's the truth. You don't need to eliminate fear. You don't need perfect confidence. You don't need certainty. You don't need guarantees. You need courage. Just enough courage for one step, then another, then another. Because courage is not the absence of fear, it's action despite it. And every extraordinary life you've ever admired was built exactly that way. One uncomfortable step at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time, one excuse destroyed at a time. This is it. Not the end of a speech, the end of an excuse, the end of a chapter, the end of a version of you that has been surviving on potential instead of performance. Because let's tell the truth. You have known what you needed to do for longer than you want to admit. The dream isn't new. The goal isn't new. The vision isn't new. The person you could become isn't new. What's new is this moment. This moment where you stop pretending you have unlimited time. Because you don't. None of us do. And that should wake something up inside you. Not fear, urgency. The kind of urgency that makes you realize your future is being built right now. Not next year. Not when conditions improve. Not when confidence arrives. Right now. With the decisions you make after this speech ends, because that's where your real life begins. Not while you're listening, while you're acting. And I need you to hear this. There is a version of you that already exists. A stronger version, a braver version, a more disciplined version, a version that finishes what it starts, a version that keeps promises, a version that refuses to quit. That version is real. The question is, how much longer are you going to make them wait? Because every day you delay, you pay. You pay with opportunities. You pay with confidence. You pay with momentum. You pay with years you'll never get back. And one day, if you're not careful, you'll look in the mirror and realize the greatest loss wasn't money. It wasn't status. It wasn't failure. It was becoming less than what you were capable of. Let that sink in. The greatest tragedy isn't losing. The greatest tragedy is never fully showing up, never fully committing, never fully discovering what was possible. And you are too alive for that, too capable for that, too powerful for that. You didn't come this far just to collect information. You came here because something inside you is demanding more, demanding growth, demanding action, demanding transformation. That voice inside you, listen to it, because it's been right this entire time. The discomfort you've been feeling, that's not weakness. That's potential trying to break through. The frustration, that's your future refusing to accept your excuses. The restlessness, that's your destiny knocking. And right now you have a choice. Stay who you've been, or become who you've been called to be. One choice, one decision, one commitment. And everything starts moving. Because life changes fast when you stop negotiating with yourself. Life changes fast when your actions finally match your ambitions. Life changes fast when your standards become stronger than your feelings. Remember this, the world does not need another spectator. The world does not need another person watching other people win. The world does not need another dreamer who never acts. The world needs builders, finishers, people who move, people who create, people who refuse to waste the gift they've been given. And that means you, not someday. Now, this is your line in the sand. This is your turning point. This is the moment you stop asking life for permission, because permission was never the missing piece. Courage was, and courage is available right now, not tomorrow, not next month, not after one more video, now. So stand up mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Stand up and make a decision that your future will thank you for. A decision so powerful that your excuses can't survive it. A decision so real that your habits are forced to change. A decision so strong that the old version of you can never fully return. Because once you've seen your potential, you can never be satisfied with playing small again. And now we're entering the final minute. Listen carefully, because this matters. Years from now, nobody will remember how motivated you felt tonight. You won't remember the music. You won't remember the screen. You won't remember the words. You'll remember what you did next. That's the part that matters. The action, the commitment, the first step, the moment your future stopped being a fantasy and started becoming a fact. So when this ends, move. Before doubt returns, move. Before fear negotiates, move. Before comfort starts making promises it never keeps, move. Because momentum belongs to the people who act first, and the next version of your life is waiting on the other side of a decision, not a miracle, a decision. The next level is not asking for more talent, it's asking for more courage. The next level is not asking whether you're ready, it's asking whether you're willing. The next level is not asking what you know, it's asking what you'll do. So make this the day you stopped explaining, the day you stopped delaying, the day you stopped shrinking, the day you finally became dangerous to your limitations. And understand this, today is not the finish line. Today is the first signal, the first spark, the first crack in the walls you've been living inside. There are levels of you that have not been introduced to the world yet. There is strength you haven't accessed, discipline you haven't demanded, leadership you haven't revealed, a future you haven't earned yet. And one question remains, the question that should follow you long after this speech is over. The question that should echo in your mind when nobody else is around. The question that changes everything. When your potential finally meets your discipline, who exactly are you going to become? Remember this moment, because the person who heard these words is already disappearing, and the person who acts on them is just getting started. The clock is running, the door is open, the future is watching. Now go make it impossible to ignore your name.